¿Qué onda, mi gente? Today we're going to talk about how to get rid of an accent in a foreign language. Whenever anybody starts out speaking a language, learning a language, one of their biggest things is like, what does my accent sound like? Can people understand me? In my opinion, the accent is not something you should necessarily focus on in the beginning. The sounds between English and Spanish are close enough that even if we make some slight pronunciation errors, we're going to be able to work our way through it. People are going to understand us. Now, if you're talking to people and they're just looking at you with this like look of confusion on their face, yeah, maybe you need to go take some specific classes on their accent, improving that, right? Like I've had students before who have very thick accents in English, and that has led to some problems when they speak Spanish where people are just not going to understand, right? And so we really need to focus on the like phonetics of how to pronounce things, how letters combine with the vowel. But for most people, I say that you should just go for it. Say it. If people are looking real confused at you, then really focus on the accent. But for the most part, just go for it, right? Because the best thing we can do in order to improve our accent is by practicing and speaking regularly. By practicing and speaking regularly and by hearing things regularly, our brain is going to pick up on the sounds of the language, how it should be spoken, what order the words should go in. Our brain is also going to pick up on like, oh, that word sounds wrong as compared to how I've heard it before or how this person just said it, right? And we'll be able to kind of autocorrect. Another big thing you can do, and this goes along with practicing regularly, is join like some kind of language group, a language exchange, some kind of language meetup, right? Where you can get together with people, with other learners, kind of being the key, and practice Spanish. The reason why practicing with other learners is a great thing is because one, they're going to be a little bit more patient. You're both learning, so you know you're there for that reason. Two, their language is going to be a little simpler. The structure of how they speak, the words they use is going to be simpler, right? The accent is going to be more similar, right? You're not going to have to worry about somebody speaking really quickly, somebody speaking with a very thick accent, right? You'll be able to just enjoy the conversation, participate, and have a good time. You should also be listening actively, right? You shouldn't just be having music on in the background or a TV show or whatever and hoping for the best. No, if you're going to do that, especially if you want to use it to improve your accent, to get rid of an accent, what you need to do is be active in using that, right? Don't just have it on in the background as you're cleaning the house. Sit down, pick a song, right? Look up the lyrics to it and sing along. Whether that is just in your head, whether that is out loud, both are going to be super useful, super helpful for getting rid of that accent. Really try and copy how they're saying it, their tone, their intonation, their speed, their rhythm, so that you can work to sound more and more like a native speaker. Same thing with movies, right? Don't just have it on in the background and hope for the best. No, sit there, have the subtitles on, have your notebook beside you, right? Use it as an active learning experience. Don't just toss it on and hope that by hearing it in the background, I'm magically going to pick up and sound like them. Imitate speakers, right? Imitate native speakers. So whether you're watching that series or whether you're listening to that song, you should be following along in your head, trying to get as close to the act. So when you have like a song up, right, you should be singing along to the song. You should be trying to copy the accent. You don't always have to do this aloud. You can do this in your head. Even in your head, having the accent down and knowing what the sound sounds like will help out a lot. It'll also, if you speak multiple languages, like for example, my accent when I am speaking in Spanish in my head sounds way different than when I'm speaking French, when I'm speaking Portuguese, when I'm trying to speak Arabic, right? They all sound different in my head. And so when I speak them, they also sound different. And I don't typically get them confused. When I drop in a word that's from another language, well, that word has a different accent, has a different intonation. And so I'm like, no, that's wrong. So like I might have the full sentence in Spanish, right? And then maybe a word of French comes out, but I would be forced to say it when I say it in that French accent. And so I can be like, no, that's wrong. I need to change that. Same thing with movies. If you're watching movies, right, you should be kind of following along, whether that's like kind of muttering under your breath or it's active, just copying what they're saying. Try and imitate their accents. Right? Another great thing you can do, and this is an absolutely crucial step, very important if you do want to get rid of the accent completely, is that you need to work with some kind of a coach, some kind of tutor who can help you get there, right? Preferably a native, right? Because they're going to be who you're trying to imitate anyway, and they're going to have the most correct Spanish accent, right? With that said, you're going to want to focus on, if you can find them, somebody who is skilled with like linguistics, phonetics, things like that, somebody who has a degree in linguistics, or somebody who has a degree in teaching, right? Somebody who can explain to you like, oh, okay, this is what you're doing, this is how we need to say it, And this is the steps we're going to take to get you there. And the last thing to remember when you're trying to get rid of an accent in a new language is just to be patient. It takes time. There's going to be a certain amount of time where you're just going to speak like a gringo. You're going to have the gringo accent, and that is totally fine, right? The idea is to not stay there, right? You want to be actively listening, trying to change it, trying to make it less, right? It'll make your life easier. It'll make things simpler if you don't have that thick accent, right? Even if it doesn't sound perfectly like, for example, Mexican Spanish, right? Having a neutral accent will be way more helpful, even so, more so sometimes than having the accent of the place where you're at, right? Because then they're like, he speaks Spanish maybe, but he's from another country, right? I don't know where he's from, but he's not from my country, which is the response I get a lot of the times when I speak Spanish. Just remember, be patient. It all comes with time, right? Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you have any questions, comments, I'll leave them down.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, subscribe, do all that stuff. If you want to practice with some of what we just discussed today in this video, or leave comments, thoughts, opinions, do so down in the comments. I will get back to you. And if you want to learn about upcoming group classes or private classes, you can reach out via WhatsApp or email, and I will get you more information on that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next class.